The Mel Carmine Show begins in just 1 minute. Support the movement. Visit QFS1776.com for exclusive one-of-a-kind merch that makes a powerful statement. Protect your wealth. Cash is trash. Go to carminesgold.com and secure real assets, silver, gold, delivered anywhere in the U.S. Text Mel at 786-704-8817. Looking to acquire XRP? Minimum is $10,000 investment, and there is no limit, even up to $100 million worth. Again, text Mel with full details at 786-704-8817 and allow up to 24 hours for a response. And if by chance you're visiting Cape Canaveral or you are a local, visit stayingalive.com, alive with 2 E's, and recharge your body at the cellular level. The show with your host, Mel Carmine, starts right now. Well, Larry, did you ever think that we would be talking about $1.21 XRP? Did you ever think that this time would come? Did you ever think that we are in the middle of the biggest global reset in the history of the world? I got people calling me from all over the world this morning. Mel, what happened? Like if I had something to do with it. It's like, hey, we're about to go to war with Iran. We're about to take out Mexico. We're about to take out Colombia. We're about to, liberate Cuba. This is all part for the course. We're supposed to wake up on the other side, and the phoenix is supposed to rise out of the ashes. And so you got this wonderful presentation here ready to go for us. I'm going to go ahead and give you the microphone. Welcome to the show, as you're always welcome on the Mel Carmine Show. And let's get with the program, man. This is going to be amazing. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see. Yep, I can see everything. We're good.
Okay, very good. Let's start talking about this reset.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
What's
it
that?
Might be
terrible. Yeah. So anyway, talk to us about what is going on today. Is this reset going to last for a while? Is this going to be something to shake everybody out? Is this something that's going to last till the end of 2026? Is XRP going to go down to 2 pennies? Is Bitcoin going to go down to $200? What the hell's going on, Larry?
Well, let me ask you a question first. I got an answer, but you were on, I think, did a show today with the XRP. What was this? Or the XRP Guru?
Okay, I didn't do a show with XRP Guru.
What was the guy that was on the phone with you when we were talking earlier? XRP Shaman.
Oh, Shaman, yeah, the XRP Shaman.
Okay,
yeah.
So what's he saying? And I'll tell you what I say.
He thinks it's going to go to zero.
Well, it isn't going to go to zero, but absolutely. I expected it. All you got to do is know a little history, folks. So every time one of these events come, they basically drive down the things that they want to control. So they've kept silver down forever, right? JP Morgan kept their foot on it for decades. And now they've exited all their paper contracts. And about 6 weeks ago, when silver was around $65, they bought $22 billion worth of silver. So does that tell me somebody with all the statistics in the world, with all the information on all the housing market and everything else, is going to spend $22 billion on silver at $65 unless it was destined to go up? No, this is manipulation. So let's talk about silver. Let's talk about gold. Let's talk about XRP, and then we'll get into the slides. So basically, here's what I think is happening. I think that you've got the banks out there. They got caught with the CarMex. We have no silver, and they're looking at these contracts coming out, and they're going to have to pay billions of dollars. And so they have just done something called collusion, which I believe is racketeering. And they've got together and they said, let's drive down the price of silver so that when the day comes where we have our CarMax come to Jesus, we're going to have to pay less money. I think that's what's happened. I think that they've made a calculated risk that says even if Trump figures out what they're doing, even if Doge comes in and figures it out, that it'll be just like in '08, that not a single banker was arrested, and all the higher echelon bankers got their multi-million dollar bonuses, right? I think they're calculating on the fact that the fine that they'll get, the penalty, the slap on the wrist they'll get, is far, far less expensive than allowing silver to remain up in the stratosphere where it was and going higher. So I think that that was total market manipulation. And then let's go over to XRP, and I'll tell you a little personal story. I threw my back out a week ago. I had to go to a chiropractor, and it was a really nice young guy, and I told him about XRP. And I told him they were going to suppress the price. I said, don't be surprised. Go do your homework. But don't be surprised as if it goes down and goes down dramatically. And I said, but it's going to be the best investment you ever made in your life. So I walked back in Wednesday for my next appointment, and he reached his hand out and shook it and said, thank you. Everything you said was going to happen happened. And so he told me how he had done his research. And then, we have the Epstein files out right now, and it's 3 million pages of dirt, right? So you know what he confided to me? He says, one guy doing all the research, and I saw everything you said was right. I went into the Epstein files, and he says, here's what I found. He said, I found a dialogue going on in there where they said, we absolutely, that means with certainty, that means we absolutely must hold the price of XRP down. So they got to hold silver down. They got to hold XRP down. Why? That tells me that the reset is imminent, that it's coming. And so we'll talk about that and more as we get into this. But basically, they're controlling everything because they're fighting for their very lives. They know that the amount of money that those bankers own are going to take some of because of the silver squeeze, are going to take some mega banks out of business completely. And they also know that they want to own most of the XRP in the world, and they want to get it at the lowest possible price. So what they're trying to do, several of my friends are calling me because they consider me to know a little bit of something about it, and they're panicking. And I'm saying, you should be celebrating. Go buy some more. That's what I say. Go buy some more.
Well,
Buy more gold, buy more silver, buy more XRP, because that means that it's all about to trigger. Comments, back to you.
now, do you think that they are going to go down to pennies, literally? Is it possible that we're going to wake up to a 20-25 cent XRP tomorrow morning or this week?
I have no earthly idea. All I know is that if I look at history, that they want to drive the prices down always before they invest. So what do we got? We got the Clarity Act that's now in markup, and as soon as it comes out, we have regulatory clarity, and then we've got, assuming they survive, BlackRock and Vanguard and so forth, sitting out there with multiple ETFs on XRP. And we've got the experts like Blake Shaver saying that once that happens, in one day, we're going to have $3 billion pouring into XRP, and most of the available XRP is going to be gone, and people aren't going to be able to buy anymore at any price. So what that tells me is it tells me that the trigger is just about ready to be pulled, and they're driving the price down so they can drive as many people out as possible so that there's more for them to buy, and so they can buy it at the best possible price. Because once we get that Clarity Act passed, then it's just a matter of time till the ETFs come out and the whole thing gets reshuffled.
I feel sorry for anybody that's got to sell their XRP right now to buy a hamburger or a pizza, because that is not the position I ever wanted to be in, and I'm not in that position. Thank the Lord above that I will move mountains, I will move heaven and earth, I will kick, screech, and scream, and I'll do whatever I got to do to make sure that that is not me and Amber, and it's not. And yeah, we're about to. By the way, you're going to be at our Junior Quantum Summit. We actually rented an airport hangar at a museum, Air Force Museum. There's gonna be some war airplanes there from back in the, Vietnam era. The backdrop of your stage, right behind your stage, will be, jet aircraft and helicopters and sidewind missiles and all kinds of crazy stuff. We got the senator coming down from Arizona. he called me this morning. He says, Mel, what the hell is going on? I said, you too, Senator? I'm like, don't you know we're in a war? So, yeah, it's fun. But let's get to you want to go anything on this slide or you want to go to the next slide?
All this is saying is
Reset.
Trump put the world on notice at Davos. So this is kind of an extraction of Davos, but it's also an offense of Trump because there are people out there that say he's going to get us into World War III. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a loose cannon, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera. No,
Mm-hmm.
I want to show people that he just made his move. Basically, we're now, I don't think we're quite in checkmate, but I think he's put the global financial elite in check on notice and they're in trouble. And now I'm just holding my breath, waiting to see what it says over here. What fate awaits the world? And so that's what this is about. There's going to be things happening. And here's what you've got. When we finish this for this presentation, the very last slide is going to tell you if you don't have all these things that I'm going to list on that last slide, you cannot have a sovereign nation. So what Trump is systematically doing is he made promises, he's keeping them, and all of them in aggregate are leading to the position where America checks every box for sovereignty. That's what's coming. That means the reset is in play. That's where we're at. And this was the thing I've been waiting for on the slide you just went to. We have to have the American people woken up, and there's nothing going to wake them up like finding out that their elections have been stolen. Nothing that's going to wake them up more than finding out about their money being manipulated. And so, what I've been waiting for is for them to do what they did in Venezuela, for them to release the Epstein records. There's a treasure trove of information in there. And when we find out that we haven't had an honest election since McKinley, that the election that Trump has been talking about really was stolen, that there are whistleblowers coming out. Chelsea Gabbard just took a subpoena and went into Georgia and got all kinds of information that's going to talk about that state's election being stolen. And we've got Patrick Byrne out talking about the election fraud, and everybody, all of the whistleblowers are coming out right now. And Trump is about to get vindicated, and Mike Lindell is about to get vindicated, and the American people are going to find out that we have a government in Washington that is sold out to the global financial elite, sold out to China. We're going to find that our bankers are sold out, that our corporations are sold out, and that means we have a government that is unconstitutional, and it's coming down. That's what I see. So let's let you comment and we'll go
Yeah.
on to the next whenever you're ready.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no question that the world is on fire. I think the perfect timing for our junior summit, which we're having in this airplane hangar, which is huge. We're going to probably have every bit of about 550, 600 people there. I know Jerry, my friend Jerry Reed, who is literally blowing up. He grew by 35,000 people, 40,000 people just yesterday alone on Facebook. They slowed him down. They figured out how to grow again. And he's got the algorithms dazed and confused. And he's actually going to be demonstrating an actual working prototype free energy motor on stage. Last one that you were at was the one where we showed the plans. You could build your own. I'm not mechanically inclined, so I couldn't build a paper box with instructions. But some people could do that. And we had a couple of spooks in the audience. How many spooks do you think will be there this time when we have an actual working model on stage and we're going to light up a few light bulbs and ceiling fans and that kind of stuff? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we'll have maybe instead of one or two spooks, we'll have maybe 2 or 3 tables full of spooks?
I think we might have, I don't know, but it'll be interesting. Let's just put it that way.
That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, let's go. Let's go to
So
this one here.
down. So global governments, Trump neutered it. Trump has basically stood up at Davos, did a lot of things, and he said, we're going to have sovereignty. America's coming back. And so I'm just going to go through some of the things that he said. So one of the things about sovereignty is how can you have sovereignty if you don't have manufacturing capability? How can you have manufacturing capability if you don't have natural resources, right?
Right.
So basically, where does the money come that controls the world, that buys all the spheres of influence? It comes from here. You've got to have natural resources, which are made into finished products, which are sold through trade, which become money, which buy the spheres of influence. So what is going on? We're just tearing everything apart and rebuilding it from the ground up. So he's basically said, we're taking the money from the global elite. This list you see here is just the tip of the iceberg. But he's saying we've now had Doge deployed. We now have whistleblowers and many coming out, and we're implementing the Board of Peace. And what is that doing? That is saying bye bye UN. And what is the UN? The UN is on record saying we stand for global governments. We stand for closed borders. We are, in my mind, and in the mind, I think, of millions of people, not put in place to give peace, but to cause pandemonium, to create wars. So what is under the UN? You've got the World Bank, you've got the IMF, you've got US aid. Those are all the entities that basically control the world through money. And what else have you got? You got NATO, which is supposed to be a peacekeeping organization, which is anything but. And then you've got the big boys. You've got World Trade, and that is how basically they drove America into the debt situation we're in, along with all the false flag wars that they did. And then what's the big one that I think everybody has to recognize? The World Health Organization, and what they did to us with COVID, and what they said they wanted to do if they were ever able to create another pandemic, they wanted license to shut down the entire world. So all of that has been put on notice by Donald J. Trump. And in terms of his Board of Peace, and in terms of what's going on, he's going after the RICO. He's saying we're taking the money from the global elite. That means the Open Society, Black Lives Matter, Clinton Initiative, Tides Foundation, Antifa, the Green Slush Fund, Intel 51, are all going to have their money confiscated. And that's going to be in the trillions. And I'm just making a prognostication right here. I don't have any facts for what I'm about to say, but I think there's going to be enough money coming in through confiscation that we might even have enough money to pay off our entire national debt. I mean, that's how much fraud and abuse there is out there. Just look at little Minneapolis and see what's going on. So this is Trump telling us he's pulling the trigger. Comments back to you, Rick. Back to you now.
Getting back to the XRP, do you think they're going to knock it down so low that the only people that can buy it will be the banks and BNY Mellon and BlackRock and State Street and so on, and the little guys are going to get completely closed off? We won't be able to buy it at, for example, at a 75-cent price tag.
You lost me. If it's 75 cents, people like me and you would be rushing in to buy it as many as we could.
They'll close the doors for people like me and you, but they'll keep the doors open for BlackRock.
Well, what I think they want to do is they want a position for when their ETFs come in, so that they can buy as much as they want, as cheap as they want. And I think what they're trying to do is, I've had 5 or 6 phone calls today from people I know that listened to me and bought a whole bunch of XRP, and they're panicking. So I think they're trying to get people to panic and sell off. And that means there's more for them to buy, and they're buying it at a lower price. That's what I think is going on. And then what Jake Claver says is that there's supposedly 100 billion, but not all that is available. And when he's prognosticating that when the ETFs kick in, that there'll probably be upwards of $3 billion that'll roll into XRP in one day. Excuse me. When that happens, then what you're talking about happens. All of the available XRP is scoffed up, and those institutions can buy that with the snap of a finger. And once that happens, then we're priced out. So if that's where you're going, I agree with you.
Yeah, very cool. We're on the next slide now.
All right, so you've done that. Let me catch up to you. And here's something that I bet most of the people don't know. We have a strategic oil reserve, right? Because oil has always been considered strategic. You can't run a modern nation without oil, right? So Trump has done something that goes beyond that. He set up Project Vault. And what is that about? We've got a silver squeeze going on. And whether it's real or not, I don't know, but it certainly has real impact on us. And he's basically saying, I'm dedicated to rebuilding America's manufacturing clout, and I've got $18 trillion committed to it. But to do that, I have to have silver, I have to have copper, I have to have a whole host of strategically significant minerals. And so he's saying, just like we have an oil reserve, We're now going to have a mineral reserve so that we're not going to have to shut down our manufacturing so that I can bring that $18 trillion to bear and I can open the doors. He's getting rid of regulations right and left and saying anybody who will commit to building a billion dollar factory, I'll see to it that all the permits are granted and you can start. And so that's what Project Vault is. It's going to be an umbrella around natural resources so that we are not going to be put in a situation where we are shut down because of something some other country is doing. So in every regard, what he's doing is he's taking the various levers that can be used against us and he's bringing all those things back under American control. And here's something that I bet your audience didn't know. Was that you? Okay, that's on your end. Okay, with what he's done in Venezuela, with the pipeline deal that he just did with Canada, with the drill baby drill that he's done, and with opening up oil wells that were closed, and so on and so forth, Saudi Arabia's oil supply is slowing down. Russia's oil has been hampered tremendously because of the war. They're now bombing the oil refineries, and so right now, according to the information that I've come across, America, as of today, is energy independent. But wait a minute, it's more than that. It now produces more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And I've always said, I've been following this for 57 years, and I've always said, we have oil. Look at Purgle Bay. Look at Alaska. We have oil. Look at all the federal lands. What I've always said is in the end times, when this thing really gets serious, oil is going to be one of the most important things in the world, and we're going to let all the other nations of the world use their oil, and then we're going to come in and use it as a lever when things are really, really important. That's what he's done. He's not allowing Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or Russia or any other nation to lever the United States because of oil. So you see what he's doing? He's giving us a safety net around everything that determines if America is going to come out of this as a sovereign nation. Mel, back to you. Comments?
I totally agree. We definitely produce a lot more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. However, and that we were doing that without the Keystone Pipeline being, because the Keystone Pipeline was actually sabotaged during the Biden administration. You know that, right? They let that thing deteriorate with no maintenance. So it's going to take probably another 6 months, another year to fix. Once that oil starts flowing, they can't touch us. We double what we're doing today easily.
Yeah.
Easily. So let's go to the next slide.
All right. So let me see if I can get my computer to cooperate. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to point out to the people, there's a plan, there's a strategy, and what Trump is trying to do is show everything that he's doing is going to benefit some segment of society. So right now, my heart goes out to the young kids. Basically, I've got a slide up here telling you about the millennials and Generation Z. The millennials are those that are 24 to 38, and most of them have not been able to buy a house. And then you've got the next generation coming up, the Generation Zs, and they're 13 to 23. So what does Schwab say? You'll own nothing and be happy. No, the American dream is home ownership, and we're going to give it back to them. And Donald Trump is orchestrating it. And what he's going to show us is you don't need 1,000-page bills unless you're passing those bills based upon lobbyists, based upon corrupt politicians, based upon passing laws that benefit the global financial elite and not the American people. So if we go to the next slide, this is taken from an entire hour-long presentation I did on housing. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. But here's what Trump is doing. And we're going to see in a very short order, he's going to pass an executive order. And here's what's happening. People don't understand. Why can't I buy a house? I saved. I have 20% to put down, and I've made 5 offers, and I can't win. Well, here's why. Because the institutions are far more sophisticated than you are. They've got AI. They've got algorithms running. The very second a contract is inked, they know it. And within seconds, their algorithms are calculating the value of that house, and they're putting an offer in on that house, and you never even see that sign go in the yard, because by the time the MLS gets their pictures taken, the house is sold. And then what happens? Then they go out and they see that, oh my God, that house was listed at whatever, and it's sold for 30 to 50% above asking. Why? because they want to saturate certain markets so that they can be for rentals only. But there's more to it. So why in the world would anybody pay 30, 40, or 50% over price, over asking price?
Because they want to
It's
control the
because people
market.
don't understand what?
Because they want to control the market, like BlackRock.
Well, it is BlackRock and those that I'm talking about, but that's not the answer. The answer is bigger, deeper than that. It's because when you buy a house, Mel, or I buy a house, we're buying a debt obligation. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to pay for that house for 30 years. And if we refinance along the way or we buy another house somewhere, they're going to start that mortgage table over again at year one. You don't pay for but half of the house until you're 26 years into a loan. So you pay the last 50% of that debt obligation in the last 4 years. So they have it figured out so that you're on the hook, just like you get that school loan when you start out in debt, you die in debt because the average American moves 7 times in their lifetime and they retire still owning a mortgage. But here's what BlackRock is buying. They're paying cash. They're not buying debt. They're buying a 30-year cash flow, and they're going to manage every aspect of the real estate market and squeeze every penny they can out of you. And they've calculated to the finite penny how much they can raise those rents every year until you're priced out. So it's a war that we can't win because we don't have the technology, we don't have the money, and we're buying a debt obligation, and they're buying a supercharged what? A financial money flow that's unbelievable. And then you can't compete because they say, there's no risk with us. We'll close in 7 days. We only have to have a home inspection. And so that's why the young people trying to buy an existing home can't buy it. And then you go down and look, hey, no 1,000-page document to fix this. All you got to do is read this. The solution: no institutions are allowed to buy homes, residential homes. The residential home market was meant to fulfill the American dream. It's not a casino, it's not the stock market, and it can't be used in that regard to basically put people in slavery. Period.
I
In
agree.
the solution, it's fixed. That's simple.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that Donald Trump can force them to sell this overwhelming supply of homes that BlackRock and Vanguard owns? Because I mean, this is like illegal monopoly. I mean, these are
Well,
multi-trillion-dollar companies.
Well, let's just break it down. You got to look to history. You got to look to other parts of the world. So he could clearly do what I've said here. And he's talking about, I don't know exactly what's going to be in it, but an executive order declaring a national emergency for housing. So there are nations around the world that have done just exactly that. And then in terms of getting them out of that, prevents them from buying new homes going forward. But there are nations around the world that have done things to make them sell the houses that they have. So, for example, there are nations that have put if you're an institution and you have a rental property, 60% tax on that property. All of a sudden that property may not be profitable at all and you may be forced to sell it. So simple things. If you go to the juggler, we can fix almost any problem out there. This is a move to the juggler. A 60% tax is a move to the juggler. And so basically we're going to give homeownership back to the youth. And then on the other end, there's this. Remember now, I was in real estate for 12 years. I was a broker and eventually I had my own small brokerage firm. So I know what I'm talking about. So now we go to the new construction. And companies like Pulte and Lanier that I used to work with for first-time home buyers are now entering in with BlackRock and Vanguard and billionaires, and they're building mega projects, hundreds, thousands of houses. And every one of them is what? For rent only. So we can stop that. And now we've opened up the resale market for the youth. We've opened up the new construction market for the youth. And we've saved society in the sense that once you get a community that is rental only or primarily rental,
Hmm.
it's no longer a community. It's a transit stop along the way to someplace else. And the community loses all continuity. So that's 5 minutes on what's an hour-long
Yeah.
presentation. But I think you can see there are solutions, and Donald Trump is wielding the ability to fix them. Shall we go
Yeah.
on?
Who else can fix this besides Donald Trump? I mean, if we were to bring in a JD Vance Rubio ticket in 2028, I think we're screwed beyond belief. I think the American people would have to be classified as the dumbest Americans on planet Earth to bring in politicians after we've had 75 years of disaster after disaster after disaster, and it's all because of politicians. Here comes a multi-billionaire businessman. Their kids are all about crypto. They're all about, getting the banks out of the way and us becoming our own banks. And Eric Trump, who runs a multi-billion-dollar company with hundreds of thousands of people, I think is the most qualified person we have. And if the Americans lose this opportunity, then we deserve what we're going to get. I really do believe that.
I believe that Eric Trump is the man to precede his father, but I believe God has got a different plan.
Which
I
is,
don't believe it's much going to matter who comes in after Trump, because my Bible says you have to pull the enemy up by the roots. And what's Donald Trump doing? He's destroying all the power centers of the global financial elite. And if they're dismantled, it's going to take decades to put them back into place. So here's what I see happening. I see that we get out from under the Fed and we go to what he's talking about. The very first bullet point on this next slide you've gone to. We go to the External Revenue Service, which means we have no more Fed. We have no more IRS. We implement NASARA down the road, which has basically been taken to court, and the farmers won because they won the case that said we have our sweat and our blood and our tears and all of our equity in this property, and the bankers put nothing in but fiat currency. So the basic legal foundation for NASARA has been proved. And what that's going to mean is it's going to mean that we're not going to have federal income tax. We're not going to have usury anymore. We're not going to have property tax. It means that going back to that last slide, the American people will finally be able to own a home, because under the fee simple system that we're in right now with take rights, nobody owns a home. All we're doing is renting a house from the government. They're our landlord, and they can create a situation where we go into debt and they take their house anytime they want. So everything has to be extricated from the root up. And when that happens, they're in such shambles that no matter who gets in, they're not going to have the power. But guess what? Here's something else. Go to that second slide we showed. Here's what's happening. We're going to come in and we're going to prove the election fraud. And when that happens, now let's go back to something I know you know about. Let's go back to the Brunson case. And what is it? There's 198 congressmen and senators that had an opportunity to give 10 simple days before they certified that election, and they didn't do it. They broke their oath of office, and there's all kinds of other whistleblowers coming out. So if we prove emphatically that the election was stolen and the election of 72 other nations were stolen, then all of a sudden the global financial elite are plucked up out of the ground, root by root. And what happens now is we go to a special election, and we have 120 days to do that according to the Constitution, and we get a whole new slate of people who are patriots, who are willing to take us back to our republic. And so as we go through this, we're going to take all of the foundations that have propped up the global financial elite, and we're going to pull them out of the ground one by one until all their foundation is gone. And when that happens, in the process, the American people have waken up, and it'll be just like what happens in China. If they try to stop us from having our freedom, then millions of us are going to be in the street, just like what's happening in Iran right now, what's happening in China, what's happening in Russia. The world has woke up and said, no more. We've had enough. You're done. And we're going to take them up by the roots. They're not going to have any power. So what has to happen? This is the bad part. The only thing I'm going to say in this whole presentation that's scary. We have to have a catastrophic financial collapse to take away the money from the global financial elite, because with that, he who controls money controls the world. They lose control over what? Over the corporations, over the banks, over the politicians, over the media, the lying media, over the entertainment industry, over the military industrial complex, and all of a sudden balls in our court, and we have an honest government, and we go back to a republic, and we get out from under the corporation, and we become a republic again. We have a government that is run on a simple sales tax. We do not have usury. He's talking about coming against that now. He's talking about a 1-year moratorium where interest rates can't be on credit cards above 10%. And under NASARA, we have no more property tax. So we're going to take all their power away. That's it.
No more property tax, no more income tax, no more capital gains tax. Clean up the air, clean up the atmosphere, get rid of these airplanes that are spraying us, these chemtrails. I don't know what is taking, uh, what's his name, Kennedy, RFK,
Kennedy,
to clean up the food. I mean, oh, we have a 2 year plan to get the dyes out of our food. Dude, you put a law in place that says you get the dyes out of our food in 30 days. We're going to have a ICE type police force. We come in unannounced for inspections, and if there's dyes in the fucking food, we start to freaking auction your company to somebody who could do it right. We auction it, put it on the auction block. What's
I
this
think
2 year plan?
theoretically, I think theoretically that sounds great, but you know what you would have happen? You have food shortages. So it takes time. They've had decades to do this. It's going to take us a little time to root it all out, to
Two
change it.
years to get the dyes out?
Well, there's possibly processes that have to change. I don't know. I'm not in the food manufacturing business, but I don't know how long it's going to take, but it is going to happen. And we're gonna get back complete control. Let's go down to the next point. Here's something that people are freaking out. No, not next slide,
Okay.
just the next point on that slide. We've only covered
Yeah.
one point on there. So the T-bills are going to be coming back to the United States. That's Treasury bills, right?
Right.
Why? Because you got BRICS putting pressure on the US dollar, right? And you got the reverse carry trade coming out of Japan. And basically that's putting pressure. But people are freaking out, but they don't understand what Trump's done. This is part of a well-executed plan to free us. So what he's doing is creating a soft financial collapse, because that they're saying is going to create a catastrophic financial collapse. We'll go bankrupt. No, it won't. It will bring trillions of dollars of T-bills back to the United States. But look at the rest of that line. It means that debt is not in the hands of our enemies and can no longer be used to manipulate us. It means that it's in our control. And if he can manage a soft collapse, we're in great shape. So how's he going to do that? He's already told us he's going to have a strategic reserve. He's going to take gold up to at least $20,000 a coin. He's going to collect 1 million Bitcoin and then raise it to $1 million. He's going to let XRP loose. He's going to tie that to gold with a staple coin, and he's going to give confidence back to the world that America's currency is valuable, that we always had the gold to back our economy with gold, and people are going to have confidence in the dollar. Do you think they want to go, if America is freed from the global elite and America's currency is backed by gold, do they want to go to China? Do they want to go to Russia? Do they want to go to a communist nation? They want to come here. And then what's the next thing he has? The next thing he has is something that's a genius again, in my opinion. He's saying not only are we going to do that, but we're going to be the crypto capital of the world. What does that mean? Why is that important? Because there's probably 2 billion or more unbanked people out there in Africa and China and India. And if people trust the American dollar, if they trust the American government, and we're what? A digitized crypto capital of the world, we're all of a sudden not only the safest place to have your deal in, the safest currency, but we're the most convenient as well. So the world is going to rush to the American economic systems. Do you follow me? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go on down. And so he's going to bank the unbanked. And then let's go to the squeeze that's happening on China and Russia and Iran. So they're trying to squeeze us for silver, right? Well, we just talked about, we now have more oil capacity than Russia and Saudi Arabia. And so what are we doing? We've still got our ships on down around Venezuela. And what's that doing? It's saying this oil is not getting from Venezuela to China. China is the largest consumer of oil in the world. They import 70% of their oil. They only have storage capacity for 90 days of oil, and we've got the squeeze on them. And what's that mean with Russia? Russia's oil supply is down. They've been attacking with drones their oil fields, and we're basically closing the door to their buyers because we've negotiated deals with both the EU and India not to buy their oil. And so what I think Trump is doing is Trump is using oil and our position now with oil in order to what? He's already got 8 wars ended, and I think he's using oil to put China in a bad spot, and to put Russia in a bad spot, and to negotiate the freedom of the people in China and negotiate the end of the Ukraine war. So leverage. He's not just depending on leveraging trade deals. He's not just depending on tariffs. He's leveraging the enemy in every way he can and bringing back to control domestically to the United States of America. So you got comments before we go on, Mel?
Nope. Next slide.
All right, so where were we? Energy independence. We got it. All right, build America, buy America. So that means that takes us back to the bill that says we're going to have a strategic reserve for all of our minerals so that we can build our factories. And he's getting rid of regulations faster than you can shake a stick. So that he said to anybody who will commit $1 billion to build a factory here, I'll get your building permits for you in no time flat. So he's going to keep his promise. Build America, buy America. That's exactly what made America strong in the first place. And that's what made China strong. When they took manufacturing away from us and ceded to China, we became weak and China became strong. And now the world is understanding that globalism is dead. It's dead on arrival. We cannot have any one nation controlling manufacturing. That's China. It's leaving and going to nations all over the world. We can't have any one nation controlling the currency. That's the United States. That's why we're going to come out of this no longer as the world's reserve currency, singular, but as the predominant world's reserve currency, along with China, probably, and Russia and India, and maybe Brazil, and so forth and so on, so that the world is not dependent on any one nation, and that gives everybody an equal footing in the economic market and in the world. And let's go on down. In resource dependency, Project Vault, we talked about that before, and then now Buy America, Build America, and we're ready to go to the next slide, and we're almost done. So let's go on down. And if I can get my computer, there we go. So we talked about this. There's some redundancy, but I wanted to kind of tie things together here. So we've already talked about the housing emergency and how he's going to do it. And we talked about how basically he can end that whole emergency by saying institutional buyers, you can't buy single family homes, and create a situation where, let's say I own 11 rentals and we have the SARA kick in, and all of a sudden my mortgages are gone. And I own 11 houses outright, right? Well, here's what could happen. I could basically be in a situation where I can be the bank, where I can say to the young kid who wants to buy a house, I can say, I'll let you buy this house on a rent to own, and we'll make it so that it's fair and equitable, and you'll own a home, and you don't have to worry about having a big down payment. So there's all kinds of things we can do. So basically what we got to get control is control of the levers that have been used against us. So let's go on down. Tariff dividends. He just wants the American people to see what I'm doing is having results. So the tariffs are making money, and he's going to share it to the tune of 1776, the magic number, $1,776 to thank our military. And then the lowest RX prices in the world. I worked in real estate for 12 years, but I was in medical for 22 years. So again, I know what I'm talking about. I worked for a French company, I worked for a Canadian firm, and I saw that the prices for pharmaceuticals in those two countries was drastically lower than here, because we were carrying the pricing burden for the whole world. So what has he done? He negotiated. Look, he trotted out the Pfizer guy, and I'm telling you, he didn't come out and stand on that stage and saying, I'm going to give America the lowest prices in the world, the best prices, because he's a nice guy. No, it's just like what happened with the capitulation tour. He capitulated, and now we're going to have drugs prices are going to go down by 1,000%, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000%. That is an absolute godsend for the American public. Do you see what he's doing? Promises made, promises kept, promises nobody else has ever done or ever could do. So I'm basically on the soapbox for Donald Trump, saying when the midterms come, recognize what he's done for you. And then basically, let's go on down. Let's see, where were we? Financially restored America does what? We can't help anybody because we're in $38 trillion of debt. That can be fixed, and what Trump's doing is going to do it. But then a restored America that is building factories right and left, that is going to become once again not as powerful as we were in manufacturing, but it's clearly the leader in manufacturing in the world. And now when that happens, look what happens. The money comes flowing in here. We become profitable. We no longer have any debt. And then because of what he did in his first term with the Chevron decision, there's 5,400 and no, yeah, 5,915 patents that will be available to us. And they're not going to be bogus green scam technologies. He's going to get us. He's declared it Davos. The green movement is a scam, and the windmills are some of the most costly energy in the world, and they kill marine life and they kill birds, and the solar panels get destroyed by storms as soon as you put them in, and they go in the landfill, and they're full of all kinds of toxic substances, and all of them are still connected to the grid, and they work with basically minimal efficiency. Most costly technology you can have. He's going to release virtually free energy, and that's going to basically bless the world again. And we will eventually not be so dependent on oil, and we'll have the ability to do what? To get out from under the carbon footprint that we have, to get water from the atmosphere, and to do exactly what God wants. We need to understand our planet is alive, and we've been poisoning it and killing it. And God wants us to be the stewards of that planet, and he's giving us the technology to do that with. And so basically, let's see, where were we? So now a prosperous United States can help every other nation gain prosperity. And with that, we step into what Eisenhower said. We all have equity. We're going to have the currencies reset. You watch. The dinar and the dong are going to reset probably in the first quarter of this year. And what's that going to do? Every nation in the world is going to have to do a reset. That's tantamount to basically Bretton Woods 2, where every nation will have currencies that are very, very close together. And that means stability in the international trading market. And then he's going to bring XRP in for the rails, and that'll free up trillions of dollars that are sitting out there in Nostro and Vostro accounts, and basically free them up to go into the economy. And so step by step by step, he's literally digging up every root that supports the global financial elite. So they're not going to be able to come back. And then he's ended 8 wars. And with what I talked about with the oil squeeze and with other things he's doing, with putting Europe on notice and NATO on notice and the UN on notice, he's basically going to end the remaining wars, and he's going to give us peace and prosperity. And we're going to stand together and cooperate, because we can't fix any of these global issues. We're clogging the world's oceans up with plastic. There's a solution. I've done whole shows on it. It's called hemp. Hemp can be used to make plastic that's biodegradable. We've got aquifers that are drying up. There's a solution. We have technology that can quite efficiently take water from that river in the sky that was talked about in the Bible, from those clouds, and we can refill our aquifers, et cetera, et cetera. We can clean our oceans. So we're going to come back to a situation where we have money, where we have technology, and we're staying together, united, because we can't fix any of those things unless every nation in the world unites. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So the global elite had their picture of utopia, and it was where 7.5 billion of us were dead. They regreened the planet, and they had all the riches in the world. Well, that's not what's going to happen. They're going to get taken out. They're going to get pulled up by the roots, and we're going to have utopia. But it's a utopia where the people have got slapped upside the head, and where they finally understand that it's like they say in the Bible, Master, what's the most important thing in the world? To love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul. And the second is as unto it, to love thy neighbor as yourself. And as we go through the hardships of what's going to happen with this transition, which is going to be somewhat scary and volatile, we're going to come to the realization that the only answer is for all of mankind to put aside all of their angst, all their division, all the things that have been used to divide us, stand united and become each other's brothers and be stewards over the planet. So that's all attributed to Donald J. Trump. Comments before we go on? We're almost done.
Do you think that we will witness the arrests this year when this whole thing goes down? When the Phoenix comes out of the ashes, do you think the arrests will go down before the midterm, let's say?
I think that there's more arrests that have happened than you could possibly shake a stick at. It's a movie, central casting. They can't announce the people that have been arrested until what? Here's what has to happen. This is where all these whistleblowers are coming out. Before you can arrest an Obama, a Clinton, a Bush, or whatever, or any of these other high-ranking people, you have to disclose the crimes that they've committed against humanity. So all of that's coming. As soon as we understand what they've done, then those that have been arrested and dealt with will be disclosed, and we will see many, many, many more get arrested. And I think Donald Trump has a plan. I believe by the end of the first term, by the end of the first quarter of this year, he plans on having most of this taken care of. You got a box that popped up on your screen there, because he has to have a little time then to have everything kind of settle down so that on July the 4th, 2026, he can announce that America is back, that America is in the driver's seat, and that we are in control, and we can have our 250th year celebration. So now we're on the very last slide, and this is what it was all about. So this slide sums up everything. You cannot have a sovereign nation under any consideration if you do not have honest elections, if you have not gotten us out of debt. You have to be basically a sovereign nation. And so if we go on gold and we go on silver and we go on oil to back our economy, what's that mean? It means we can stop completely the dependency on a fiat currency, and we can have a balanced budget, which you cannot have when you have a fiat system where every dollar creates a debt obligation. And then we get back our manufacturing prowess, we get back control of our strategic resources so that we can manufacture, we free up all the energy and all the new technologies. We have financial and social equity, and it was, I'm trying to think of the name, Eisenhower, who said, the principal cause of war is lack of equity between nations. And so every nation's currencies will reset, and they'll have a fair amount of manufacturing, and will share technology, and will walk into a period of peace and prosperity. Every one of those things is what Donald Trump is moving towards. And once they're done, it doesn't matter who gets elected president, because their entire system will be so shattered that it will take them decades to build it back, maybe 100 years. And in the process, we will have gotten rid of all the swamp rights. Basically, Donald Trump will come in and pull up a stopper, and all of the criminals that have controlled us will be arrested, taken away, exposed, and we will get our republic back, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, and we will have a single sales tax. And that means not only won't there be an IRS, but there won't be all those other taxes that we have all go away. We'll have a single tax, period. And America became the greatest nation in the world based on just that, a single tax. We'll have revenue from that tax, and we'll have revenue coming in from all the nations of the world that want to get access to the U.S.'s the largest domestic market in the world. And so we'll have money coming in from the tariffs, and we will be so flush with cash, it's not funny. And something that I know you know is we have trusts out there that have trillions of dollars. That is what? All the money that he's seizing. Remember, we talked about he's seizing all this money. There'll be trillions. And now this is just a prognostication on my part, but I think we're going to see that there's enough money that's seized that we can get rid of our $38 trillion national debt and come out of this with no debt, and have trillions more left in order to have a host of humanitarian projects to rebuild the infrastructure of the world. And then I'm going to make one more prognostication. I'm seeing something, and that is that that retailers are going out of business right and left, and all the big boxes are in trouble because what? People are so indebted that all they can buy are the necessities, right? I'm seeing that the real estate market in terms of commercial is going to have a near 100% closure rate. I'm seeing that people are now able to work out of their homes instead of having to go into the big cities. I'm seeing that there are geological events happening that are nothing short of frightening, that are basically going to reshape the entire world. And so what I'm seeing is, for 200 plus years, 250 years, we've had an exodus from the country to the city. Now we're going to have an exodus from the city to the country. We're going to get out from under the big corporations, never to be dependent upon them again the way we are. And entrepreneurialism is going to blossom, and communities are going to blossom, and people are going to come together, and we're going to stand in unity, and we're going to get all that technology, and we're not going to be working 60 hours a week, and we're going to get to find out who our kids are, who our our wives are, who our neighbors are, and the world is going to embrace a simpler life. All the technology will be there, but we'll have a simpler life, and technology will be our friend instead of our slave. And that's what I predict is coming, period.
Larry
And
Ballard, LarryBallard.com, guys.
that's right. That's my website, and my show is Liberty Crusade Official. And next week, I'm going to be making the announcement. I'm doing the final proofreading on my next book, which is what? Liberty Crusade Restored Republic. So next week, I'll be announcing the final, what the pre-release date is going to be and what the actual sales date is going to be. We're right on the brink of bringing that new book out. And God told me he'd hold me in the cleft of the rock until the last minute, and then he would make my platform grow, and the message that I gave would open people's eyes, and that would set people free. That's where we're at right now. Now we're on the brink of some scary stuff, but we're going to come out of it with
The
the version
people,
of
yeah,
utopia that God wants mankind to have.
the people that understand the movie, the people that know how the movie ends are calm as a feather. You don't see me
Yep.
panicking. My portfolio is bleeding like profusely today, right? And a lot of portfolios around the world that are much bigger than mine. But look, at the end of the day, we had to go through this in order to get to the other side. The only guy that can absolutely carry this plan forward with military precision is nobody else but Donald Trump. Do you want to do anything on this last slide or no?
No, all I
No.
was saying is God has showed me my destiny, the role that I played, and that was that he's going to cram it, will open, not just me, but many, many people are going to be doing this, and the truth will set people free. And when we do that, we're going to stop being each other's enemies. We're going to stand together and understand that we are many, they are few. And just like what's happening in China, the people are out in the streets by the millions. They're not out by as many people in Russia, but there's an internal revolt happening in Russia, and people are out by the millions in Iran. And basically, the people of the world have said, "We're had enough. We're terminating you," and
Right.
that's what's coming.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an exciting junior quantum summit. We're going to let more information out as we get it. Tomorrow we go and we leave a pretty hefty deposit. We got catering coming. There's going to be a way for you to buy a ticket for breakfast, lunch, no dinner, just breakfast and lunch. It's going to be an amazing, amazing lineup of speakers. More people are calling, and there's going to be new speakers that you never heard of. There's going to be the two sisters that are going to be there, digital sisters, who will teach you how to use your wallet and how to self custody and how to buy your cryptocurrency and take you by the hand. Obviously, they charge for that service. We had to bring them in because Amber and I have showed as many people as we can for free, but there's only two of us, and there's only so much that we could do. So we're bringing in some people that can absolutely help with that endeavor. It's going to be very interesting. But Donald Trump is a dynamo. Let's talk about before you go, Larry. Who do you think is dead? Who do you think is still alive? Do you think McCabe? Do you think Comey is still alive? Do you think Hillary Clinton is still alive? Or are we watching a movie? Are we watching a clone? Are we watching actors with $62,000 masks? What is it that we're looking at?
I don't have a lot of information. I don't have everything I do, just so people understand, is from my understanding of the Bible, which is 70% history, from all the history that I've studied, from all the various things, geology, anthropology, sociology, climatology, yada yada yada. And then I take all that together, put it together, and I do strategic analysis. But here's what I can say. I'll answer your question in a limited way. On one occasion, I saw Biden stand up and give a speech, and he moved his hand like this and it went through the microphone. What's that tell you? I believe that he is dead, right? I believe
CGI.
he's been dead for a long, long, long time. And then I saw recently, well, it wasn't recently, but I saw an event where Hillary Clinton was there, and they showed a close up of her. And if that was a clone or if that was somebody with a mask, it was the poorest example I've ever seen. Didn't look like her at all. So I believe she's been taken to Gitmo. And then I've seen a couple of other people who clearly moved in some way or other, and you could see the mask on their neck. So they're gone. So I don't know what I think about. Do we have the technology to have cloned human beings. I don't know. I know we cloned a sheep decades ago, so we could have clones, but I believe we have technology with AI that can fool you. I believe we have masks that can fool you. And I believe that what we see now, it's so frustrating. I can't tell if I'm looking at a real human being or if I'm looking at something that's made by AI. So I have no earthly way of knowing short of somebody telling me who's dead. So I only pointed out a couple of instances where clearly there was a giveaway as to that person was not who they represented. And then let's go back to Biden again. I mean, he's the amazing shrinking and growing man. One day he's one height, the next day he's another height. And if that doesn't tell you something, folks, I don't know what to tell you. So I believe that we've arrested a lot of people. I
Yeah.
believe we can't come in and take all these people out at one time. We have had to systematically take out the power brokers, and many of them are gone. But before we can release that information, we have to besmudge them. We have to make the people know who they were, what they did, how horrible they were. We need to let them know they were involved in money laundering. We need to let them know that there's, for example, there's people out there saying um, that Hillary Clinton and what's the lady that Abadu, what's her name? Abedin.
Aberdeen, yeah, Uma Aberdeen.
Yeah. That they it's actually been involved in cannibalism. So whatever these people have done, we got the Epstein files now. So we need to get that out so that when we start arresting the remainders in mass, the people won't stand up and revolt. We're still going to have riots, but you know why? Because we've got hundreds of thousands of people who came into this country that are enemies that are paid to do those riots. But we're not going to see millions of people in the street like you're seeing in China or like you're seeing in Iran. No, we're going to have a few thousand people that are going to protest, and Trump has already made provision. He's already taken troops to the border to do something that we're not supposed to be able to do. Barack Obama said to him regarding his agenda, "What are you going to do? Wave a magic wand?" Yep, and that's what he did. He took the stock market from 10,000 to 30,000, and he sent 20,000 troops down to the border, and it's closed. And so basically, he's already passed Posse Comitatus and got the ability to deploy troops in every state. Every single state has to get, except the really small ones, have to give 2,000 people. And what he's going to do is have them ready for rapid deployment. So something pops up in Idaho or Minneapolis or wherever, or Michigan, he can deploy troops there not in days, not in weeks, but in hours, and put it down. He's not going to stand by and let Portland or Minneapolis or any place else burn like happened before. He's going to go in, he's going to squash it, and he's going to restore order. That's what Donald Trump is doing. And as this process comes out, we're finally going to get to the point that they're ready to tell us, here's this been a movie, and we're going to show you the movie. I think that's eventually going to happen. And I believe there are way more people that have been arrested that we have any idea of. And there's this guy, I don't know, I can't remember his name, but he follows all these flights to Gitmo. And let's just say that if you go and look at pictures, there are a lot of flights going to Gitmo. And if you look at Gitmo, it is huge compared to what it was. We only had just a few terrorists left in there, and they sent over engineers, and they built that place out like you can't believe. And then we have other facilities. So why are we building all these offshore facilities if not for all these criminals that have been controlling us? I believe thousands of them have been taken out.
Yeah,
And that's just a personal opinion.
I believe you're right, and I also do understand that there is a media room that they built there specifically for this time that's coming,
Mhm.
where people like you and I will be given I don't know if they'll give the ex pizzeria impresario credentials, but that'll be funny, to go down there and cover the biggest story of our lifetime in Guantanamo Bay. That will be the final chapter of this whole thing. But
Well, I doubt that I'm big enough to get an invitation, but if I did, I'd be booking the first flight I could get.
yeah.
I'd go to whatever airbase they told me to. I'd hop on that plane and I'd be smiling from ear to ear.
Oh, so would I. And again, I always say you cannot allow, because Donald Trump early on in 2016, when he got elected, he gave them the ability to take their money, disappear, leave us alone, Don't do any more child trafficking. Don't do any more fentanyl. Don't do anything stupid. Go live your life. Take the money you robbed. Go live happily ever after. Leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. And they decided not to. They decided that they're going to poke the bear because they thought that they were bigger and badder and more powerful than godly people. They're going to find out the wrong way, the hard way, that they're wrong. And I think all hell's going to break loose. I think Donald Trump's going to be going down as the most popular man alive today under God. I don't think there'll be anybody more popular than God. Do you think?
I think 10 years from now, when everything's rebuilt, that there'll be historians that'll say before Trump, after Trump, the world before Trump, the world after Trump. And I think that what's coming down is biblical. I think
BT and
God is
AT.
I think that we're seeing the captives set free. We're in the Exodus. We're in the book of Esther. And now I want to bring something else out. I want to point out something. God's not going to give the credit to Trump. God is playing in this, and I'm getting ready to do a couple of very, very important shows. And here's what I'm seeing. I never knew why God had me study all this stuff, but I studied climatology. I studied geology. I studied astrophysics, everything you can imagine. And there's an alignment of all the planets coming up that's going to create a solar event. We've now seen down in Missouri, mid latitudes, aurora borealis. There's something very significant about that and about our magnetic field and about the possibility of a what we've had it before of a pole shift. And then we're seeing Florida with sinkholes. We're seeing California with upliftings. We're seeing massive geological events happening around the world. I'm going to cover all that, and I'm going to tell you everything that can be shaken is going to be shaken. And here's what I'm seeing. God put me here. He put me right here in Missouri. And when he put me here, my mentor, who was a prophet, called me and told me that I was coming home from Texas considering moving there. He says, "You're not going there." He says, "You have a hotel reservation tonight. I don't know the name of the place. That's where God's going to plant you. It's God's Goshen." And I'm right here. And here's what I believe is going to happen. As these earth changes begin to happen, God's going to come, just like it says in the Bible, to people in the night, to his old people, and they're going to dream dreams, and they're going to get visions, and they're going to hear voices. And God's going to say to millions of people, leave California or wherever he designates and go. And he's going to tell people where to go. And we're going to have gathering places where the whole of society is going to change. It's going to be away from the mega cities that are going to be in real trouble and off with a fresh new start somewhere in some small town or in some rural community. That's what I see coming. And I'm going to do some detailed presentations on that coming up. Everything that can shake will shake. And that's economics. That's everything. That it's going to be a totally new system, unlike anything we've ever seen.
Well, guys, if
And
you
that's
want to
my
see
first opinion.
Larry in the flesh, he'll be in Titusville. This is where the event is going to be. It's about 20 minutes from my center. If you want to take a picture with him and autograph, and he'll have books there with him for sale. I'm sure. Bring a suitcase of that stuff. We'll give you a table in the back so you can move some books. Yeah,
Well,
that'll
it
be
depends
great.
on if they get them out fast enough. The book is going to come out pretty much about the time that your event happens. So I doubt that I'll have books to sell, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll
Well,
see.
I'll be flying back with you most likely from Vegas. You'll be sitting right next to me.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I'm trying to get Juanito to come and sit next to us and come, but I don't think he likes to sit and coach. He likes to probably sit in first class.
You'd be in first class, but
I
we could
I
get
could.
on the plane and off the plane together.
Yeah, absolutely. We have. Yeah. So Larry, it was a pleasure having you. Don't forget Quantum Summit 1776.com. I'm telling you, the tickets are going to go very fast. We got my friend Jerry Reed, who's moving heaven and earth to make sure that he brings his people there who want to meet him. He's growing in leaps and bounds. He's at 360,000 as of like 2 hours ago. So he went from 345,000, 360,000. He's moving fast. I believe he'll be past 700,000 people by the time he comes down to the summit. So If you don't think that we can move 550 chairs or 560 chairs, you'd be dead wrong. Between his audience, your audience, my audience, Staple Crew, we got Black Swan Capitalists coming down now. We got my good friend. There's a 99% chance that he's coming down. Digital Outlook, Dave Digital Outlook will be in attendance. We got Carol Maureen coming. We got a gentleman by the name of Kirk Carmichael, who is an expert on the straw man, who will be on stage and show you, how to, destroy the boogeyman and not have to worry about the boogeyman. So there's gonna be a lot of people on stage that you'll never seen before at this event, and hopefully we can get Molly Elmore, because Molly Elmore and my wife has a story to tell about how they paid that crazy credit card bill, and we all got a notice saying, "Thank you for your payment. Your payment was successful." And 4 days later, it wasn't successful. No, something is wrong. And I know that for a fact that if you were to push the envelope and paid a few bills with that using the back of your social security number, you'll get a knock from the FBI because you're a peasant. You are a useless eater. You're not allowed to access your own money. Okay. You get married, it's a bond. You get divorced, it's a bond. You get remarried, it's a bond. You get a parking ticket, it's a bond. You get a speeding ticket, it's a bond. You get a fishing license, hunting license, driver's license, registration. These are all bonds, and they're making interest on top of interest on. And the dumb cops on the street that don't know fuck all about fuck all, as the Canadians like to say, they don't know nothing about nothing. Okay, and they have no idea, and they have the highest alcoholism. They have the highest rate of divorce, police, and you guys can't make ends meet, and they're using you. They're using you guys to give these ridiculous tickets out there, and the guys upstairs are getting rich, and they're laughing at your dumbass. Think about that for a second. So, but anyway, brother, it was a pleasure having you. Let me hit the pause button so we can talk privately. There's a few things I want to tell you about the event that I'm not allowed to mention yet.
Okay, good enough.
Very good. Guys,
Bye,
we'll catch you on the
everybody.
next one. Get
Be
this
blessed.
out there to everybody. Thank you.